Hi, I'm Kat Iniba, and thank you so much for tuning into Halo Halo. According to CBS News, over 2,000 anti-Asian hate incidents have been reported throughout the country from March through June, and there have been over 800 reports happening right here in California. Long Beach resident Lena Hernandez was recorded making two of these attacks. However, prosecutors did not find sufficient evidence for any criminal charges. And this isn't the first time Lena Hernandez has behaved this way. She physically and verbally assaulted a Filipina American woman at the Del Amo Mall this past October. And it took 9 months later for her to be arrested and then released on $1 bail. Joining us today is attorney Sandy Roxas, who is representing two of the victims of the Lena Hernandez case.
Thank you, Attorney Rojas, for joining us today. I understand that you're actually representing two of the victims of the Lena Hernandez attacks. And I wanted to talk to you first, ask you how you became involved.
Thank you for having me on your show. I first became involved because the third victim, the male Japanese victim, who I'm no longer the attorney for since this matter has been resolved at this point, reached out to me and had indicated that the victims collaboratively needed to have help because their case wasn't being taken seriously by the Torrance Police Department or the Torrance City Attorney's Office.
So were the Japanese male, was he working with the two females that were also attacked as a group?
Correct. So I was representing all three of them up until the rally. At that point, my representation for the male victim has ceased, and I'm continuing to represent the two female Filipino victims.
Okay, and you're doing it pro bono, right?
Correct.
Yeah. What was it that compelled you to work on this case?
I think Asian Americans are just facing a growing racism in the form of verbal and physical attacks, especially with the rapid growth of the coronavirus. And I've been seeing a lot of xenophobia, anti-racism cases just spreading as rapidly as the pandemic. And when I was reached out by the victims, I felt that there was a need to take action and to assist the victims in getting their case heard.
Right. And actually, you brought up a good point because I was reading online and I read somewhere from CBS News that over 2,000 anti-Asian reports have occurred throughout the country, and over 800 were from right here in California, just during this whole pandemic.
Right. It's really unfortunate because the growing numbers of reported cases, and we're not even discussing the unreported cases, have become so widespread that it's almost as though it's happening on a regular basis. And we've seen, the viral videos span across, California with just people coming forward and being attacked just because they're simply Asian.
And then I hear that this lady, Lena Hernandez, she attacked these two people just this past month, but this wasn't the first time. She's done it before last year in October. And
right.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, and the person in October, this was physical attack, a verbal attack at the mall in a public place. She reports it and nothing is done for months.
And I think that was where the real problem, where it didn't sit well with me. When the Torrance Police Department learned of the two viral videos, which was seen, by the country, really, even internationally, there were over 20 million views on those. They held a press conference and they diminished the suspect, Lena Hernandez's attacks, as unfortunate incidents, when in fact they were criminal acts fueled by hate and racism. And they allowed Caselin's case to be uninvestigated until the viral videos caused a public outcry. And because of their inaction, Lena Hernandez was emboldened to victimize the other two Torrance residents at the park. Yeah. And I believe as an attorney, I'm in a unique position to make and effectuate meaningful change. We talk for a living in litigation. I felt that it was necessary to call out the Torrance mayor, the Torrance Police Department, and the city attorney for their inaction in prosecuting the suspect, Lena Hernandez.
Yes, thank you so much for doing that. Do you think that's why it took, 9 months for something to be done with Casey Lynn's report because of these two videos alone?
Yes, definitely with the videos and also the public outcry and the call for action. Because when you look at the timeline, okay, October 11, 2019, the attack happened at Del Amo Mall. There were witnesses, two witnesses. Lena Hernandez was detained by the mall security. Her identification was obtained and then they released her. Then fast forward, October 20th is when the viral videos came about where it showed two separate attacks at the Wilson Park in Torrance. And that is what sparked the attention of the Torrance Police Department. Thereafter, 7 days later, by June 27th, no action had still been taken against Ms. Hernandez, and that's when the victims retained me. Within 2 days, I formulated a call for action to demand for action to be taken against Lena Hernandez. And then thereafter, on July 3rd, was when Lena Hernandez was finally arrested.
Yes, thank goodness. And then I heard that she was released on $1 bail. Is that true?
That is true. You know, unfortunately, due to COVID, the Los Angeles Superior Court issued an emergency order that set temporary bail at $0 for most misdemeanor cases and low-level felonies. And you know, the purpose of the $0 bail schedule is meant to slow the spread of the coronavirus within the jails, the courthouses, and the communities. But what that essentially means is that Lena Hernandez is at large while she's waiting for her arraignment date, which is not until October. And it's unfortunate that she is still out there, meaning that she can potentially continue her actions and continue to, you know, verbally and physically assault other members of the community.
Oh my gosh, have you met Lena Hernandez?
I have not met her, but we intend to be at her arraignment on October.
Now, what was I read somewhere, and forgive me because I'm not very knowledgeable about this stuff, but something about there were critical gaps in evidence.
Right. So the city attorney of Torrance released a statement and stated that there are critical gaps in the evidence, which meant that he was not able to charge Lena Hernandez for the two other victims, the female victim that was exercising in the park, as well as the male victim that was parked with his two minor children. And, you know, as a prosecutor, there's certain elements that he needs to meet. And he stated that after careful review of the evidence, he was unable to charge her with criminal threats because there was insufficient evidence.
How do you feel about that, or can you talk about that?
No, definitely, you know, the victims and myself, we were very disappointed because it sends the wrong message to individuals who choose to threaten and verbally attack people and their children based on their race and ethnicity. Basically, the message is you can, you know, say hateful, racist remarks and walk away with no punishment. And I think because of this message that the hate towards Asian Americans is going to continue if they feel that they can just say whatever they want and, you know, walk away and not be criminally punished.
Yeah, it's just surprising to me, and it upsets me to think, okay, this is already recorded on a phone. She's clearly racist. I mean, she's saying, F you, go back to your country. I mean, there's kids in the car who she looked, I think with the woman that was exercising in the park, I could have sworn that I saw her bump the woman as she's going down the steps and then comes back. You know?
Oh, it was premeditated for sure. What happened was Ms. Hernandez saw the victim exercising and then passed her through one flight of stairs. And when she came down, she purposely shoulder bumped her. And that is a cause to be charged for battery. And she did that just so that she can, you know, start a verbal altercation with the victim. So unfortunately, even with the videos, the city attorney felt that it was insufficient evidence to charge her with any type of crime. I do disagree that there were critical gaps in the evidence, and I felt that it was the prosecutor's duty to file the charges, but yet he, you know, decided to use his discretion and felt that the evidence just was not sufficient.
Yeah, and aside from you representing the two victims, you actually put together an event almost 2 weeks ago, right, at the Wilson Park. And it was beautiful to see over 150 people, I think, attend. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Right, so the victims wanted to have a rally workout, not a normal protest where you would stand there with signs, but they wanted to show that, together, if we stand in solidarity with immigrants and other marginalized people, that we could be heard. And the purpose really of the workout was to highlight that, through the ugly and racist actions of one individual can bring the community together to fight against racism and xenophilia. So what we did was we organized the event where everyone was to wear black. We had these shirts that were printed that were given out to the first 100 people that attended the event. And then everyone brought colorful posters, and it was just a great event where the community came together, and we had, all sorts of people of different ethnicities come forward to support the Asian Americans who, in this instance, were victimized by Lena Hernandez.
Yeah, you definitely received so much support. You even had trainers, right, do workouts, all volunteer. I mean, and it wasn't just Filipinos that showed up. It was everyone. It was a melting pot, which was beautiful.
It was really great to have our volunteers come out. We had 8 volunteer trainers, all from the South Bay, and they came out as early as 6 in the morning so that we could set up the area and have 8 stations. And it was just a really great event to see everyone together. And you're absolutely right. The trainers were not limited to just Asian Americans. We had people from different ethnicities and backgrounds, all willing to come together for, the great event.
Yeah. Can you talk about what's next for the victims in your case?
Absolutely. So, officially now, Casey, she's named as a victim in the case. And what this means under California law is that she's given several rights because she's a victim. And these rights are what we will be actively pursuing in her case. So, for example, she has a right to be informed of each step of the case. She has a right to be present at every court proceeding. She has a right to be informed of any plea deal that's going to take place. She also has a right to make a statement in court, what's known as a victim's impact statement. And if needed, she'll go to court and testify as to what happened at the Del Amo Mall when she was attacked.
Okay. And how about the woman that was exercising? Is that let go, or is that just done?
Unfortunately, the city attorney decided that there was insufficient evidence to move forward with the case. However, if there is new evidence that comes forward, the city attorney can review the case again and make a decision whether or not to pursue the charges.
And with your experience on this case, if others are out there being attacked because of their Asian background, what can we do? What should we do?
I think if you're a victim of a racist attack, the first thing you should do is you need to speak up. I think as Asian Americans, as Filipino Americans, we're culturally taught to be quiet and to be the bigger person, to let things pass. But this is not something that we can let pass because it will continue to go on unless we stand up for ourselves. And, if you are a witness to someone being attacked, you need to call out the bigotry and the hate speech. You need to try to help the person do so if you can in a safe way. You should make your presence known as a witness, because if the attacker sees that there are other people around the victim, likely the attacker will just leave the victim alone. So I think speaking up and letting people know that stereotyping, racism, it's not harmless, it's harmful, and it can normalize dangerous ways and ideas, and we need to stop and perpetuate those type of stereotypes.
Thank you so much, Attorney Sandy Roxas, for taking the time to chat with us today, for supporting our community, and for representing our 2 fellow Filipinos who are unfortunate victims of these anti-Asian hate incidents. That's it for me. For more on Halo Halo, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can follow me on social media at Kat Iniba. Take care, and I'll see you all later.